Yeah, turn the speakers up. You're locked in with the best, rolling with Carlos. Let's go.
What's up, Dolphin Nation? What's up, Finstock family? What's up, NFL fans? In today's video, we're going to go ahead and talk about day 11, which was the joint practice for the Washington with the Washington Redskins before the Friday preseason game. Also, before we go ahead and get started, I'm going to wish David Furones of the Sun Sentinel happy birthday, because on August 13th is his birthday, and it's August 13th at the time of the recording. Happy birthday, David Furones of the Sun Sentinel. Before we get started, I'm going to read to you a fact. The Dolphins entered the 2024 season with 26 individual 1,000-yard receiving seasons in their history. There you go. There's a fact from the Dolphins. All right, guys. We're going to hear from Coach Jeff Hafley, and then we will read to you some action from the joint practice.
Off with 7-on-7 red zone, and then I think we're going to a team red zone. Then there's a bunch of team periods, a move the ball period, and then we're finishing up with a 2-minute, really on the plus side of the field. I think it's going to be like on the plus 25. But talk to Coach Quinn. I have a ton of respect for him. I've really looked up to him as a defensive coach, becoming a head coach for a long time. So it's actually cool to have those conversations with him. But just kind of let them take the lead. And, you know, I asked for a few things, and they were great. You know, I know Adam Peters well. I worked with him in San Francisco. I have a ton of respect for him, not only what he's done in his position, but just as a person. Great guy, great family. So it'll be fun to see him today, too.
Coach, in terms of...
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I mean, we're good.
The physicality, we know joint practices sometimes get a little chippy. Are there rules that players have been given about fisticuffs and aggressiveness?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as what our players have answered from you when you guys have asked them those questions. I mean, we don't have time for that. We're here to practice. They're here to practice. The other thing is, I have so much respect for everybody that plays this game, whether they're on our team or another team. I mean, this is their livelihood, that we got to protect them too. There should be no blind shots. There should be. Is there going to be a scuffle or two? I mean, it happens. Should there be a punch thrown? No. If there's a punch thrown, they're out. And that's what I told the team. It's exactly what I've told the team throughout camp. And we've been fortunate. There haven't been a lot of fights. We don't have time for that. So if there is, hopefully it gets broken up and we continue to practice, which is the main thing. And it's really, really important. And I told our team is I want to come out of this healthy, and I want Washington to come out of this healthy. Like I said, I have too much respect for all of these players to think anything differently. At the same time, I want to be physical. I mean, that's how we need to play, and I'll be disappointed if we're not.
Coach, when Sully comes down and tells you that you guys are onboarding somebody new, whether that's trade with Caden Wallace or free agency, what's the process with you and your staff to kind of onboard them? Is there a film session? Do you talk with Sully and the scouting staff? How do you get ready to bring somebody new into the fray at this point of the year?
Sure. There's a lot of conversation, right? So it's not like all of a sudden he comes in and he says, hey, we just made a trade. So he keeps us in the loop, which is awesome because our communication is outstanding. And I think he's done an unbelievable job with myself, with the staff. So there's communication. And then, you know, right before the trade is about to break, we know it and we tell the staff. As far as the onboarding goes, I just met him in the hotel last night before dinner. So it's not like it's like, hey, how you doing? We're going to get you caught up as soon as possible. There hasn't been a lot of that in this situation. Everyone's a little bit different. But then there's going to be a time on how we do things, the expectation, what the culture is all about, the rules. Because just like in any other company, when you bring somebody new in, you want to kind of, you know, have that orientation of what it's going to be like here. So that is very, very important. It's a good question.
Jeff, from a football skills standpoint, what did you guys see and like about Caden Wallace that made you guys want to trade for him?
Yeah, we had obviously Sully and, you know, a bunch of our guys were high on him coming out in the draft. And talking to our O-line coaches, it was the same thing. I mean, you know, I talked to Zach and those guys, and he really liked him coming out. Had a high draft grade on him. He had a big smile on his face when I told him the news. The versatility, the ability to play guard and tackle, which, you know, we need some depth right now. We need competition for those spots right now, and I think he brings both. And, you know, I think in our league, oftentimes, a change of scenery, a fresh start is helpful. And with the talent that he has and the versatility that he has, we're hoping that a fresh start will help him and he'll come in and compete.
I noticed Zach Sealer wasn't participating at Monday drills. What's his status? Will he be back?
Zach will be out today. Unfortunately, he won't be able to practice. And that, I would say that will be week to week.
And Josh Uche, we saw he at some point in practice he stopped. He was running on the side. Where is he?
He's good. He'll be out here full go today.
Hey, Coach, what's up? I had a question for you about how joint practices might disrupt your typical install. Is this going to be a continuation of what camp has been so far, or do you kind of step back and try to see where you're at? Like, what does today look like in terms of where you are in the progression of camp?
Yeah, the installs are kind of starting to taper off. What's happening right now in camp, now you're getting into more situational work, whether it's short yardage, goal line, backed up, certain situations at the end of the game, last play of the game, play before last play of the game, things that might come up at the end of game situations. There's some stuff that we kind of want to tinker with. I mean, just speaking from a defensive standpoint, there's still a bunch of pressure packages and thoughts that I have, but we've kind of put that on hold, so there's no new install for today. Here's what's really important for me today, too. Today, at least for me, speaking defensively, this isn't, I want to try to out-scheme Washington today. I don't want to try to send all these blitzes so we get a free runner. Like, the stuff that's really important for me today is to see who can get off blocks, who can cover somebody, who can play base football with really good fundamental and technique so we can evaluate and see where we're at. I mean, if we scheme up a blitz and we got a guy coming through off the edge, it doesn't – I don't know what that does for us as far as evaluation goes. So it's going to be more base defense, base offense. Let's play with fundamentals and technique. Let the guys calm down and then see what we got. That's a good question.
We saw the first depth chart, saw Caleb Douglas up there. What has he done as a rookie to separate himself and allowed him to be in that spot?
It goes back to what I've been talking to you guys about. It's been consistency over time. He's been really consistent. He's made some flash plays, and then he's made some plays where, he needs to catch the ball. But he's probably been one of our most consistent guys, and he showed up every day. So that's where he deserves to be at this point. As far as the depth chart goes, I mean, it's not like when I sit there and I'm watching film, I'm going, he should be here, he should be here. It's a start, okay? And I told the team the same exact thing because I want to be transparent with them. I want to be transparent with you. If anybody's going to get worked up about where they are in the depth chart right now, hey, come and talk to me because I could probably explain to you, and let's worry about that 3 weeks from now.
Question inspired by the depth chart, but I'll just ask you about
You're a big depth chart guy. Got it.
A little bit. Just Trey Moore. Just want to hear about Trey
We
Moore's
got him
camp.
labeled now as the depth chart guy. I'm just joking.
Just want to hear about Trey Moore's camp so far and what you've seen from him.
Consistency, versatility. He's done a really good job setting the edge. He can play inside linebacker. He can play outside linebacker at Sam. And then he's got the ability to rush. So he gives you a linebacker who can play all three downs. He can play in zones. He's good against the run, and he's got rush value to him. So we'll see where he's at. But I like the way he's practiced.
In the name of versatility with linebackers, earlier this offseason you mentioned the ability to play in space is a premium ability.
Huge.
For linebackers. Has that always been a core belief of yours, or is that kind of a reflection of more athletic quarterbacks and kind of the way that offenses have evolved since you first come into the league?
It's the way offenses are making you defend the entire field. Look, in man coverage, it's different, right? In man coverage, if I'm a linebacker and you're a running back, I can go match up with you right now. The way teams are spreading you out and forcing you to play certain zones, if I'm 10 yards away from you and Achane catches the ball in space and I'm not good at playing in space, it's going to be a very hard down for me. So the more you can get guys who can shrink the field with speed, with length, the ability to adjust laterally, right? So all of a sudden we're playing in space, you go this way, I got to be able to adjust laterally and make that play. It's become really, really important at the position. And just the overall speed of the game with the wideouts, the running backs, the tight ends, there's a lot of athletes on the field right now. So we need guys who can do that on defense as well.
Jeff, we all know things can change, but at the moment, are you planning to get Malik Willis some action in the preseason game?
I am, yeah. But like you said, things can change.
What do you like about getting some of the veterans time in the preseason?
We're young, so like when you say veterans, how many guys that we have that have been through this year after year? It's just not who we are as a team right now. I talked to the staff about that this morning, and in a perfect world, in these joint practices, you get your so-called 22 starters, 30 to 35 reps. You give them tomorrow, walk through, and then they don't really play very much. But as you go through our team right now, there aren't many of those guys. So we have to gain experience. So we will carefully look, and I'm telling you this exactly like I told the staff, we got to see how many reps those guys play today. How many reps do our starting O-line get today, our so-called starting offensive line play today? Then what do we feel comfortable with them playing in the game? So if a guy gets 30, 35 snaps, are we okay with them getting 10 snaps Friday night? Those are questions that we have to have today. If a guy gets 20, he's going to play more. But I want our team, which is new and young, and we've brought in a bunch of, as you know, free agents. We've got to go like this. So we need to experience practice together. We need to experience going into a game together, being in the locker room, coming out together, the kickoff, everything that goes into. We got to play football. So everybody should expect to play, and unless something changes, like you gave me the ability to keep true to my word now, we'll do that.
What'd you like in Nick McLeod in order to pick him up?
Say it again?
Nick McLeod, what'd you like about him?
Just gives us some more depth, which is what we need. Watched. I'm going to be honest with you. Didn't watch a whole lot of film because I didn't have time, but just like what we saw, it gives us depth, and excited to see what he can do. It's going to be, not as much. Some of the periods that we get into, some of the stuff that he really doesn't know right now will be a little harder, but some of the individual, the one-on-ones, and some of that stuff will be good.
I want to ask you this question about the nickel cornerback. I love how you detail responsibilities, roles, what you're looking for from positions. Nickel is one of those hard positions to play and learn. What do you need and what do you want to see from your nickel?
Oh, that's a question we could talk a long time about. I mean, if you're talking early downs, 1st and 10, second 1 to 6, you're talking about a guy who's got to be able to play the run. I mean, you're talking about now having a guy you trust to possibly cover a slot receiver, but at the same time, the way offenses are going to motion you and get you into the box, you could potentially be a B-gap or an A-gap defender if we don't protect him. So that guy's got to be physical, and he's got to be able to tackle, the ability to play in space. So think about it like this. You're describing a linebacker, which is really what I'm doing. I'm describing a linebacker who has to have the physicality to play the run, tackle, but then you're also going to ask that guy to do some stuff that the corners are doing, right? Are we going to play man in those situations? Are we going to play zone? Do we have a guy that can blitz? Because if you have a nickel that can do all those things, those guys are hard to find. Can that same guy be the same nickel on 2nd and 7 plus, 3rd and 5 plus, where now you got to play more man, right? And you got to match up against some of these good slots or some of the outside wide receivers. So that's a lot I just described. In a perfect world, you have one. In a not-so-perfect world, which most teams are in, you have an early down nickel, you have a 3rd down nickel, and you have different packages so you can get all those things done. The problem becomes is if this guy's in the game, are they really going to play man with him? If this guy's in the game, are they really going to want him in the box? So it's a cat and mouse game, but probably one of the most underrated positions and valued in our league. It's a fun position to coach. We can go 2 more.
You have a coach on your staff who played most of his career here, Liddell Betts. What made him someone you wanted to pick up on your staff this offseason?
Yeah, I had a lot of coaches call on his behalf. And I didn't know Liddell. I was interviewing running back coaches. A lot of coaches called about him, both college coaches, NFL coaches, and spoke the world of him as a person, as a coach. And then just in the interview process, I liked him, and I felt like he was the right guy. He's got this quiet demeanor about him. He has the ability to connect with these players, relationship with H.N. He has the ability to be hard on the players in his own way, and he played the position. And I think certain times, if you can get a guy to do all those things and has played the position, it can be a benefit. And I'm really glad he's with us.
You've known Malik for a little bit now, but the past 2 months, 6 months, whatever it's been, you guys have both had new roles. What's impressed you the most about Malik, not just over the months, but the past couple weeks that maybe has surprised you even?
I don't know if anything's a surprise because I know Malik pretty well. I spent a lot of time with him in my 2 years with him in Green Bay. The thing that I'm most proud is in the last 2 weeks and really in the last week, the leadership. A lot of conversations with Malik early on. I think it's important that Malik gets comfortable playing the position. It's like his rookie year. And a lot of times I think if you try to be the leader and you try to be too vocal and you try to focus on your position and all that you're learning and all the pressure and stress that goes into being a quarterback, I think that's a hard thing to do. So he'd kind of been quiet, playing his role, playing football. I saw more leadership this week, not just with, the wide receivers, but the whole offense. And I think that's a really big step, and I'm really proud of him for that.
All right, guys, you pretty much talked about what they plan to do in the joint practice. Obviously, the joint practice occurred earlier today, and on Friday, there's a preseason game. I'm going to read to you some action from the joint practice and give you my overall thoughts, and that will be it. So let's go to the action from the joint practice, which wasn't pretty. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was mid. Dolphins struggled with Commanders in joint practice, but were physical plus stock up, stock down. This was written by David Furones and Chris Perkins of the Sun Sentinel. Again, happy birthday, David Furones. The Miami Dolphins finally squared off against another team ahead of the 2026 season, and it was a struggle. The Washington Commanders won the day on both offense and defense at their training facility. Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels mostly had his way with a decimated Dolphins secondary with down cornerbacks Chris Johnson and Juju Brents and safety Dante Trader Jr. The Miami Dolphins struggled to gain first downs, got beat up front in pass protection, and quarterback Malik Willis was forced to use his legs a lot as the pocket crumbled and receivers didn't create separation. Some things we definitely got to clean up, but that's what we expect day one of a joint practice, linebacker Jordan Brooks said. What Dolphins players were pleased with was the physicality they played with. I thought we brought that physical mindset, Brooks said, as the teams were thudding against the run instead of tackling to the ground. Added right tackle Austin Jackson, definitely physical. I don't think that aspect was lacking. Physicality was there, but we got to work on execution. The joint practice setting finally offered first-year coach Jeff Hafley an opportunity to gauge his team against another than his own players. I want us to take the next step, Hafley said, ahead of the drills. I just want them to be themselves and play football and be able to execute. The team did 7-on-7 drills Wednesday, which the Dolphins had not practiced the inter-squad setting. Those occurred in the red zone before the teams went to a series of 11-on-11 periods, which included late game scenarios to wrap up the day's work. Along with Johnson, Trader, and Brents, the Dolphins' defense was missing defensive tackle Zach Zeeler, who will be week to week, Hafley revealed ahead of the day's drills. Safety Lonnie Johnson Jr., the Dolphins and Commanders didn't get involved in any big scuffle, something often seen in the joint setting. The closest thing to it was defensive tackle Jordan Phillips having to be separated from Washington lineman, possibly tackle Josh Cornley Jr. Phillips called it a part of playing a physical game. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, a Miami native, was in attendance to check out his Dolphins near Washington, D.C. Here are the highlights and observations from the Dolphins' joint practice with the Commanders. Willis threw a pick six when cornerback Mike Sandrisky stepped in front of the pass intended for wide receiver Malik Washington on the near sideline. Sandrisky punted the ball in celebration of his accomplishment. It seems like Willis threw the ball where it had to be, but Washington didn't come back to the spot. Safety Michael Taft had a big pass breakup in the back of the end zone as time expired in a late game scenario. It was a busy day for Taft, who continues to learn on the job with Trader sidelined. He bounced back after some hiccups in coverage earlier. Miami's first team offense got a shot from the Commanders' 25-yard line. The group got backed up by penalty after initially advancing into the red zone, and the defensive end, Charles O., stacked Willis, which ran the final seconds off. Wide receiver Terrell Burks beat safety Zane Anderson and Taft for a 70-yard touchdown from Daniels. The secondary needs Trader and cornerbacks Brenton Johnson, who are all sidelined. Daniels picked the Dolphins defense apart. Washington wide receiver Terry McClellan had a sideline reception on the side of the field, defended by cornerback Jason Marshall Jr. Anderson and Taft were nearby as the play ended. Granted, McClellan, a Pro Bowl wide receiver, but Marshall has been inconsistent so far in training camp. There were inconsistencies of pressure from Miami's front, and that was mainly when the defense could contain Daniels' aerial attack. Top Robinson had another decent day rushing the passer. Tight end Okowo got past cornerback Miles Battle and safety Major Burns for a nice gain up the seam. Linebacker Jordan Brooks was all around the ball with 3 tackles in the late 2-minute drill. Brooks, the All-Pro who led the league with 183 tackles last season, is having a good training camp. A positive sign following his 3-year, $48 million contract extension. Rookie linebacker Jacob Rodriguez continues to have a strong camp. He made plays in the run game. In Dolphins O-line versus Commander O-line, Washington won. Left tackle Patrick Paul was beaten by outside linebacker Odafe Oweb. Left guard Caden Proctor was beaten by a swim move by defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw. Center Aaron Brewer had a draw with defensive tackle right tackle Austin Jackson was beaten by outside linebacker Lovin Chajan. In a second round of Dolphins O-line versus Commanders D-line, DJ Campbell did well versus D-tackle Jeffrey Mumba. Defensive end Drake Jackson got around offensive tackle Caden Wallace. Offensive tackle Marcus Cox did well versus defensive end TJ Magulvava. Dolphins defensive line Zeke Biggers lured a Washington offensive line into a false start early in 11-on-11. It's a subtle way that Biggers, a big pass rusher, run stopper when he plays inside, an edge setter versus the run when he plays outside, is impacting the game. Willis Smith missed wide receiver Jalen Tolbert on a throw near the goal line on 11-on-11. Safety Jeremy Reeves was the closest defender. The Willis-Tolbert connection remains a work in progress. Running back Devon Achane was stuffed on the inside runs as the offensive line couldn't move the line of scrimmage. Achane later caught a short third down touchdown over the middle in the red zone team period. Offensive lineman Caden Wallace gave up a sack to defensive tackle Jerzane Newton against quarterback Cam Miller. Willis had a 6-yard gain on a run left as he continues to slowly unveil the run game. Cornerback Marshall and Marco Wilson, started with a defense alongside Taft and linebackers Terrell Dotson, Trey Moore. Hafley continues experimenting with personal packages and remembers Johnson wasn't practicing for an unknown reason. Wide receiver Caleb Douglas drew a pass interference call after a third down pass fell incomplete. Douglas, who is speedy, lanky, and athletic, at 6'4", 205 pounds, can be tough to defend. He frequently gets good separation. Willis had a well-thrown completion over the middle to Douglas. Douglas continues to put together a nice stretch of practices. Ethan Bonner had a pass breakup on a long throw to wide receiver Demary Brown. Bonner hasn't yet shown he deserves to be the starter, but he'll almost certainly be on the 53-man regular season roster. Marshall Jr. beaten by wide receiver Jefferson on the crossing pass from Daniels, and Marshall are both Florida Gators, by the way. Washington tight end Lawrence Cager, who played at the University of Miami from 2015 to 2018, both finishing at Georgia, had a nice reception from backup quarterback Marcus Mariota. Kyle Lewis had a nice stop on a running play. That's significant because Lewis' main contribution early in the rookie season might be at big nickel or the linebacker who defends the slot tight end, perhaps. Lewis is expanding his game already. Willis, in 11 on 11, had a 15-yard completion to Douglas, who went down to make the grab, then scrambled for 7 yards on the next play before absorbing a sack from outside linebacker Odafe. In a play later in the series, Willis later evaded pressure by using his feet before hitting fullback DJ Herman for a short pass. Defensive lineman Matthew Butler continues working as a up back, the blocker in the front of the KOR. Center Andrew Meyer and defensive line Biggers have also auditioned for that role. Running back Jalen Wright and wide receiver Jalen Rager continue to work as kick returner. Washington currently heads that role. Cornerback AJ Green had a pass breakup in one-on-ones. Green, the fifth-year player who spent the past 2 seasons with the Los Angeles Rams and Minnesota, continues to flash. For Green, who has an interception in training camp, remains a long shot to make the 53-man roster. Wide receiver Washington and Tolbert, protected starters, had a touchdown reception and one-on-one drills. Later, Douglas, the third protected starter, had a touchdown reception. That's a good sign for the growth of the wide receiver corps. Washington wide receiver River Craycraft, the ex-Dolphin, had success versus Miami's nickel DBs in one-on-ones drills. Craycraft has receiving skills, but is more known for blocking. Willis had his pass intended for Douglas broken up by Washington cornerback Fabian Moreau, who attended Western High School. Willis came back to hit Washington for a TD. Willis then hit wide receiver A.J. Henning for a touchdown, sparking a successful one-on-one drill for the Dolphins. Quarterback wide receiver combo over Washington's DBs. Wide receiver Theo Wees and Tolbert and tight end Cole Turner all flash strong receiving skills and one-on-one drills. All could be key to Dolphins' depth, although it should be noted that Tolbert is currently listed as the starter. The weather was 80 degrees and cloudy with 71% humidity and the feels-like temperature of 80 degrees. Compare that to Miami Gardens, where it was 89 degrees with 69% humidity, feels-like temperature of 94. The rookie wide receiver Caleb Douglas, the rookie wide receiver, continues to shine. His play in practice at Dolphins camp translated to facing an opponent, as he had the type of practice we've come to know from him. In the first joint practice setting he has seen, stock down offensive line and secondary. The line struggled, pass protecting and Willis scrambling all day. Plus, they were dominated in one-on-ones. It's tough to single out anyone, but it's the whole group outside of Brewer. The secondary got torched by Daniels all day, with a lot of receivers wide open, but good to see Taft respond and make the play at the end. All right, guys, there you have it. What happened in the joint practice? I like the activity in the comment section. I appreciate all of you. Let's see if we can get the pin stop by Rolling with Collins family to 200 subscribers by the end of 2026. And like always, stay positive, stay on your grind, and go Dolphins.
Yeah. Turn the speakers up. You're locked in with the best.